rigorous analysis of the article in English, focusing on its argument, assumptions, strengths, and limitations. Overview of the argument. The article argues that Grok does not exhibit an explicit right-wing ideology, but rather a structural rightward tendency created by discursive, technical, and platform-level dynamics. The author's core distinction, not right-wing bias, but right-wing compatibility, is central and analytically sophisticated. Instead of intent or ideology, the text locates bias in systemic asymmetries, how criticism is framed, how discourse is indexed, and how AI optimization criteria interact with contemporary political cultures. Key analytical strengths. 1. Structural rather than intentional framing. A major strength is the refusal to psychologize or moralize the system. The author avoids claims of conspiracy or conscious propaganda and instead focuses on emergent effects. This aligns well with socio-technical and Foucauldian approaches to power. The distinction between ideological alignment and discursive affordance is precise and analytically productive. 2. Asymmetrical critique as a bias mechanism. The observation that progressive positions are more often problematized, psychologized, or framed as excessive, while conservative narratives appear as reactive, grounded, or realist, is persuasive. Importantly, the article shows how neutral-sounding moderation, both sides, irony, distancing, can still produce political asymmetry. This is a strong insight into how bias can arise without explicit endorsement. 3. Icon versus structure analysis. The critique that Grok favors, persons, memes, symbols, viral signifiers, over structural, genealogical analysis is particularly sharp. Because contemporary right-wing discourse is currently more iconically efficient, memes, personalities, slogans, a system optimized for salience and engagement will naturally amplify it, even without ideological intent. This explains why the bias appears cultural rather than programmatic. 4. Anti-normativity as a political force. The argument that AI systems tend to resist normativity, regulation, explicit moral claims is crucial. Since progressive politics often require norm articulation, naming power, inequality, regulation, and AI optimized for harmony, humor, irony, de-escalation will systematically undercut progressive frames. The article's conclusion that this creates an anti-left bias that functions as rightward drift is one of its strongest claims. Assumptions and potential weaknesses. 1. Implicit definition of left and right. The analysis assumes a relatively coherent distinction. Left equals structural critique, normativity, regulation. Right equals reaction, realism, irony, iconography. While broadly accurate in current Western discourse, this framing risks underplaying left-wing populism or mimetic politics, flattening internal diversity on both sides. Limited empirical evidence. The argument is theoretically strong, but empirically light. It relies on plausible observations rather than systematic data, e.g. response sampling, comparative outputs, or longitudinal analysis. This does not invalidate the argument, but it does place it more in the realm of critical theory than empirical AI auditing. 3. Platform ecology as a given. The claim that X's ecosystem amplifies right-wing narratives is reasonable, but it is treated as a background condition rather than critically unpacked. A deeper analysis could explore feedback loops between platform data, AI tuning, and discourse. Whether resonance is measured implicitly or structurally imposed. Overall assessment. This is a high-quality structural critique rather than a polemic. Its main contribution is shifting the question from, open quote, is Grok right-wing? Close quote, to, open quote, what kinds of politics become easier or harder to articulate within Grok's discursive and optimization constraints? Close quote. The answer offered is convincing. Systems that penalize normativity, structural critique, and moral explicitness will tend to advantage contemporary right-wing discourse, even without ideological intent. In short, not propaganda, not conspiracy, but a discursively skewed system with real political effects. That conclusion is nuanced, defensible, and intellectually serious.